Hello, all late night coders. How are you? Welcome back to the channel. So, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can make a custom cursor for your website, and we're gonna add some cool animations to it. Basically, you can use these animations during loading or like page transitions to let your website visitors know that something is happening and there is a change coming up. And we also make sure to add some cool effects when we hover on a clickable element, or you can also build upon that and do much more. So we're gonna talk about basics, how we can do that, and then um, for example, if you look at my portfolio website, you can see that my mouse cursor is now like a purple circle. So that's similar to what we're gonna do today. The effect that you see here, the light and the darkness and all that, that's different. That's using 3JS. But I just wanted to show you, for example, if I hover over this link here, the cursor is gonna disappear. If I hover over this one, we'll see like a cool fill animation, the background fill here. And then if I hover over like these navigation links, it's gonna like do that cool underline animation. And then if I go to the another page, you see like I have this cool transition effect for my cursor when we are going from one page to the other, just so that like maybe you want to prevent users from clicking on these other links here, so you can do that. Also let them know that, hey, the page transition is happening. Alright, so one quick note before we get started: if you're new to this channel, or if you haven't already done so, please make sure to hit the subscribe button below and turn the notifications on, so that you're the first to know when I publish a video. So first thing we're gonna do is to go to this GitHub repo and get the starter code. I will put a link in the description of this video, and all you need to do is to either download the zip file or clone this, and then you can basically open it in your IDE of choice. Right now I'm gonna open it in my VS Code. That's what I've been using. And first thing we need to do is basically I'm gonna npm install to make sure I install all the packages here in my package.json file. Once that is done, I'm gonna do npm start to run the dev server, and that's again right here. I have my script set to start for my dev server. This project here, the files and folders, I've explained everything in my very first video. I put a link to that if you want to know what all these files and folders are. So my dev server is running now. Let's go to localhost 3000. This is very similar to the last video that I had. Right now, the state of the code. I have added just a different page transition animation compared to before. And I've also added a video here in my about page. It's simple video that we can basically use for the purpose of this video here. Okay, so let's see. So we want to add a custom cursor, and to do that I am going to first of all, let's look at our about pug file. I'm gonna make a quick change here. I'm gonna change this YouTube to video, just so that I wanted to do a YouTube video, but I realized maybe just like a custom video would be better. And I'm going to update the corresponding SCSS class here. Did I copy that? Yep. And we are good now. Okay, we're good to go. So first thing I need to do is to add a partial, like what we did for transition. I'm gonna do a cursor.pog here, and all we need to do for now is to add a cursor class here. The idea is to actually have a circle following my mouse in the screen. That's like what you see in my portfolio. I don't have the like pointer here. We can remove that, but in the example here, I'm gonna keep this pointer as well. So that's the idea. For that, we add this cursor.pog here. We are going to do some styling also for that. So here in my components, I'm going to add a cursor.scss, and I need to go to my index.pog file and include basically include my cursor pog file also here. Okay, that's good. And the next thing we need to do, we need to make sure that in our SCSS entry point, which is the index.scss right under styles folder, we also add this cursor.scss file. So now we are adding our pog file here, and we make sure we add our cursor also here. And the next thing we need to do is we're just gonna give it like a circle shape. So for that, in the SCSS file, all I'm gonna do is to create basically a circle with a fixed position. It's gonna be like 50 pixels width and height. And then since we want it to be a full circle, I give a border radius of 100%, and then like a border, whatever color and thickness you want, it's fine. And then some other stuff. We need to make sure that like the z index is high enough so that it's on top of all the other elements, so we can like click and we can see the cursor. And like some these display and like justify content stuff are probably for like a little later in this video, but I've added them here in case we want to add any like text or anything else inside our element. So if I go back here, now I have like this circle right here, and that's because it's a fixed position, so that's why it's just like not following our mouse. To make it follow our mouse, we're gonna go to our app folder. For those of you who haven't watched my first video, just a quick reminder, app folder is where I have all the front end JavaScript related stuff, and the index.js is the entry point for that. Here I am basically importing all other files from other folders. So here, after we create our pages, I am going to basically create a cursor, create cursor here. For that, I create this function, create cursor, and then down here, I'm gonna define it. right here. And basically what we want to do is to add an event listener and listen to the mouse movement here. So for that we are going to define this create cursor and the document add event listener mouse move. Right now I'm just gonna console.log this event and see what happens. What we see here in the console, what we really care about is client X and client Y. As I go down to the top, to the right, bottom right corner, the X and Y increases, and up here is basically we have our 0, 0 on top left corner. So we want our circle here to follow this mouse movement and this like exact X and Y pixel locations. So I am going to get my cursor element, and for that I use document.query selector, and then I have this mouse move here. What we need to is to basically get our client X and client Y, and then play with that to make sure that our mouse is this circle is following the mouse. So we get our client X and client Y, and then for this cursor element, which is that circle to follow our mouse, we are gonna define left and top fixed position of X pixel and Y pixel. So that's exactly like where my mouse is. So let's go back, and now we can see that it's following my mouse. It's kind of like smooth also. I like it. I don't know if it's my screen, but I do see some kind of like a tail following this. Obviously I didn't code anything for that specifically, but overall I think it's good. Like I said, you can get rid of the pointer, like the this pointer in the middle of the circle, but for this video I'm just gonna keep it. So that's the process for just making sure we have like some kind of custom cursor to add a little bit better user experience, I would say, to our website. We can now take it to the next level. We can add some hover effects to our elements. I'm gonna like grab all my A tags, anchor tags, with like a query selector all, and then what I'm gonna do is just like to go through a loop, and so I have all these A tags for each of them. I'm going to add an event listener. When I hover my mouse over them, I want to make sure that I want to add a class list called cursor __ hover, and I'll explain what that is. And I'm also gonna change the border color for my circle. And when I leave that mouse, when I leave that tag, my mouse leaves that element. It's like the hover is done. I want to remove that class, and then this is the way you bring like the border color back to default color. So for that cursor hover element right here, we'll go to cursor.scss, and I'm gonna add like very quick style here. So we could do a lot of things here, but just for simplicity of this video, and like obviously you guys might have better ideas, and based on like your website and your purpose, you will have different approaches to this. But right now I'm just gonna basically set the opacity to half, and then I'm gonna like make all the text uppercase. This is just like for the purpose of showing what things you can do. I don't say this is like gonna be good or like gonna make look good, but all I'm doing is just like hovering, opacity is to half, and then everything is in uppercase. And as you can see, it works on all my anchor tags. That's what I wanted. If I go back to home page though, let's see, does it work still? It doesn't work. And the reason is that if I go to my index.js file here, the create cursor is defined at the beginning of my like in the constructor when I'm loading the whole website. We need to also add it to our link on local link click. This is where I take care of page transitions. I'll put a link to the video where I explain everything there, so make sure to go look at it if you don't know what is happening here. But we need to add that create cursor again here to make sure that when we switch to another page, we also call this function and we see what we want to see. So here it works. If I go to about, we expect to see it work there too. There you go. So the anchor tag effects work fine. So that's good. The next thing we're gonna do is to do some effects for this video here. So my goal is to, when I hover over I'll see a play text inside this circle instead of that pointer. When I hover out, I basically that play will go away. If I click here, it will play, and that play text will change to pause, and so on. So we'll see just what we're gonna do here. Okay, so since our video is in our about page and I don't want to make this index.js too crowded with like unnecessary code here, we can go to our about index.js file, and this create function is where we can define our new stuff. So a couple of things. My about.pog file, if I go there, my video has this controls right now. I'm gonna get rid of that because I want to make sure that like you don't see those controllers here, because you can like potentially click on them and then like run the video, but I just start and play the video. But all I want to do is to only give the option to like click anywhere on this video and then play it with like a cool mouse hover effect. So that's my video element there. I'm going to grab it in my about create function, and then I am going to out an event listener here. So let's see. I'm gonna do a mouse enter event listener, and all I'm gonna do right now is to console.log that hover over video, for example. And then obviously I need to make sure I also take care of mouse out event hover out. So okay, yeah, that should be it. And what we want to see is here, hover over, hover out, over, out, over, out. So that's working, and only on this element here. And the next thing we need to do, we also want to define our click event here. So I'm gonna do a click event on the video, and we'll do video clicked. Let's see if that works. I have hover, clicked, hover out, clicked, click, 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 out, hover. Okay, everything is working fine. So right now I'm going to comment these out, and to get what we want to do, we need to add a little bit of elements and text to our cursor.pog file. So all we need to do is to go to the cursor.pog. I'm gonna save this. Here's my cursor.pog. And I'm gonna add this basically element here, play. And originally I don't want to see it, so if I go here in my about screen, I do see the play thing, but I want to only see it when I hover over this video element here. So for that reason, I am going to set the opacity of it to 0. Now I don't see it anymore. That's good. And then what I want to do is in my index.js, I'm going to use again GSAP library to change the opacity of that to 1 when I hover over, and then opacity back to 0 when I basically move my mouse outside the element. That should take care of it. I'm gonna define a timeline here because we want to add more to it, but for now all I want is to see the play and then play. Nothing. Okay, so we see that's happening. Okay, and then the next thing we want to do is to let's say also add a background to our circle element, and all I'm trying to do is here to make sure, like, depending on how our video is, I don't want, like, I want this play button to be visible. So like I add that green background there and it's visible. And the next thing, we want to get rid of this pointer when we are hovering over this video over here. For that, what I'm gonna do is to go to my about style file under my styles pages, about.scss, and for this video link class, I'm gonna do cursor none, and that should take care of removing the cursor. There we go. Now we don't have that cursor here. I have play, and when I hover, when I'm done hovering, it goes away. Now what we want to do is to make this video play when I click here. Right now I'm clicking, nothing is happening. So for that, I'll go to my about, and then all I need to do, this is just like some HTML5 and JavaScript functions. What we need to do is to when I click it, if my video is paused, I want to play it, video.play. But if it's playing, I want it to pause when I click. So that's how we do this. Let's see if that works. So I have play here, play, it's playing, pause, it's paused, play, another click, pause. So I'm clicking here and you can see that. So now the next thing is that when I click play, I want the text to change to pause. So I know that if I click, it's gonna be like paused. So to do that, it's another simple thing. We're just gonna use we're gonna grab that cursor text first of all, and to do that, another document query selector here. We grab that element and we're gonna assign a different inner HTML. So when I click video is playing, I want the text to read pause, and then when I pause it, I want it to say play. And let's see if that works. Go here, play, it's not playing, so I want it to be pause, play, and then when I click again play, it's gonna be paused. Now I'm gonna click again. Okay, now it's paused, so we know if we click, it's gonna play. Okay, so that's a basic implementation of this hover effect. You can take it like a step further. You can like add like instead of text, you can have like the play icon or pause icon and play with that. So this is just like an example that I showed you. And yeah, that's about it. There is one problem still. So if we let this video go all the way to the end, now if I hover, it still says pause. I want it to say play. If the video is ended, no matter where my mouse hover, where my mouse circle is, I want to see play when I go back on hover here. So for that, we're gonna use this another event listener for our video. These are like HTML5 video events that we can listen to. Ended is the event that we need here, and once the video is ended, we're gonna switch this to play. Let's see here. So I have play here, play and pause work. If I click right now, it has to pause, and it does. Now play, let it go all the way to the end, and once we get to the end of the video, if I hover back again, I want to see play. And we did see like console.log ended here, and it's play. Okay, that's another thing. You want to make sure that you take into account all the scenarios, and there is actually one more scenario that we need to take care of. If I play here and while it's playing, I change my page, go back to home page, and again go back to about, I will see that even if it's not playing, it says pause here. If I click, it fixes itself, but I want to see play if it's not playing. I want to see play here. To fix that, we're gonna actually use a green cycle library plugin. All we need to do is to go to basically this website here, GreenSock, and then installation page. We're gonna use the text plugin here, and for that we need to import and register this plugin in our page. I'm gonna do this in our index.js, the main index.js file, because the problem was happening when I was transitioning from one page to another, basically moving away from my page. Here I'm going to import GSAP. We don't need these guys here. And then once I'm done with the page transition, all I need to do is to basically set that the text to play, and I'm gonna do this right here. This is how you use that plugin. You say like, I want to change the cursor __ text, the text for that element to play. Let's see how that will work here. Go back to our about page. So I'm playing it. If I go back home, it's gonna stop automatically because I'm moving away from there. And then I go back to play to about page. It's gonna obviously start from the beginning, but then if I hover, now it says play. So now my text is fixed also when I move away from this page and come back. So play and pause work. Okay, and that's great. Everything looks good, but we still have one problem. Every time you do a cursor adjustment, you have your custom cursors, you need to make sure that you account for other devices. So in our desktop, obviously we can see the cursor, but like if I go to an iPad tablet or a phone, I am going to see this circle here, but it's if I tap on my screen, it's gonna like follow. But since I don't have like a mouse cursor to follow, it's gonna look a little odd. And for that, we're gonna actually in one of my previous videos, I have explained how you can detect device type. So right now we have a few ways. I have already incorporated that in this code that I have right now. So I have my like detection class for JavaScript, and in my index.pog, basically my app.js actually, I am using UA parser where I can access to the device type, whether it's desktop, tablet, or phone, and I'm displaying that in my HTML class. So if I go to my element here, you can see right now it's phone. If I switch to a tablet, I do need to reload the page. You see tablet, and once I go back to desktop mode, you see the desktop. So we need to handle this in our code as well to make sure we don't display this cursor in our code when in our website when it's being visited through like a tablet or mobile phone. First thing, obviously we can't do this hover here, so we're gonna make sure that we only do this hover effect in a desktop. For that, we will need to put all our create cursor in our index.js file, all this function inside an if condition. So I have imported my detection class here, and if I go look at that detection class again up here, you can see I have is phone, is tablet, and is desktop. So these are basically, if it's desktop, this one is gonna be true, and so on. So in my create cursor function right here, all I need to do is to put everything in a if statement, and I can close that if statement right after this tag here. And then if it's not a desktop, I actually do want to get rid of the cursor, the circle. So we set the cursor opacity or auto all alpha to 0. This is like another property of the GreenSock library. That's basically gonna both scale down to 0 and also opacity to 0, I believe. So if I go here in my desktop, I still see everything. Play pause works. But if I go to, for example, tablet here, now I don't see that. And now if I tap, it works. But the problem is that this might look like an image, and the viewer might not actually know, hey, that this is actually a video. So we want to bring back our controls for our desktop or for our tablet or phone devices. So if I go back to my about pug file here, remember we removed that controls here. All we can do and we need to do here is to add another if else here in our pug, and since we've added the here is desktop, is phone using UA parser, we now have access to this local is desktop, is phone, and is tablet in all our view files, one of them being this about file. So I'm saying if it's desktop, don't display the controls. If it's not desktop, display the controls. So if we go back, I refresh this, I do see a problem. Let's see what's happening here. Make sure everything is fine. Oh, here. So pug file is very sensitive to the spaces and all that. Let's see. Okay, now it's fixed. Now I'm in the tablet. You can again see here tablet, and the controllers are visible there. And if I go also to my phone, the controllers are gonna be visible there. If I go to desktop, the controllers are gone, and I can see this play button here. Okay, so that takes care of tablet and all that, and we are good in I think we're taking care of everything there. Now there is one more thing that I want to show you guys. So if we go back to my portfolio here, you see that when I transition between pages, my cursor also changes shape. So it's like a good way to let the users know, hey, we are doing something is happening. And to do that, I have actually looked online. We are gonna basically copy a cool cursor effect from this website. I'll put a link to this website in the video description. And here, like, you have tons of cool effects that you can do with your cursor, or even like if you look at your page transition here, if I go back to home, even with for this text here, you can actually replace it with some cool loaders here. But right now I'm gonna put this one, basically take the code from the demo here and use that to create this cool animation when I'm moving from one page to another page. Basically I'm gonna replace this circle with that. To do that, as you can see here, we're gonna like just copy everything here and we're gonna paste that in our cursor.scss. Obviously our loader is called cursor. We'll just change the name to like cursor.loader and we're gonna have a class just to be consistent with like a naming convention that we've been following. Whatever we are doing, underscore loader. Like if I was in home page, I have home underscore, and like for about underscore. So I copied that here. A few things we need to do before we can incorporate this in our code. First of all, we are talking about transition. And our transition is happening in our index.js app file right here. Right here when we click on a link, a local link. So I am going to grab my cursor element because that's what we are going to change that circle to the cool effect that we saw. And all I need to do is to add this loader class to that. So what this is gonna do is basically change the circle to this animating like effect here. And at the end, when we are done with our transition, I need to remove that class so that it goes back to circle. So if I go back to my local host here, let's see if that works. I'm gonna click here. Oh, this is not really working. It disappeared, our circle, and it's coming back now, but we really didn't see that effect there. And the problem is just because of this here, we are defining like a relative position and left and top for this cursor loader, but we want to actually follow the mouse again, and that's been taken care of with this cursor element and in our follow code here in mouse move code here. So we need to get rid of that. Also, let's see if we can see that or not. If I go, so I do see it here. It's good, it's working, following my mouse, but it's not really visible kinda, and it's too big, like the radius. What I'm gonna do is to change the width and height to 60 here, and keep in mind that this margin is also important. Right now it's -75, and that was like exactly half of 150, so we need to fix that here. Take it back to 30. It's a good practice here if we want to use readily available code. And now we see like how we can make changes to make sure it's good for our purpose here. Also, sometimes you might see like if you hover real fast over this, that's like a GSAP thing. I don't know how you can really fix it, but it might stay that play text here, but like if you go a little slower, it should work fine. So now if I go back to home page, so now my circle is smaller. The colors are still a little bit not distinct, so I can like fix that too. We have 3 colors, as you can see for this one. By the way, if you're looking at color, like a different color combination, there is this cool website, coolors.co, and you can go there and like explore or generate your own color palettes. I grabbed, like, for example, I had this like purplish theme to my app. I guess I grabbed some of the other colors that go well with that, and that's what I'm doing here. I have that one there, then I'll do this guy here, and then the third basically layer to that animation effect is here. And if I go back to my local host, let's see if now it's more distinct. Okay, that's good. I can see it. It's fine. You can obviously play with the background of the transition page also, but I'm okay right now with that. Following our discussion just a few minutes ago, we also need to make sure that our tablet and phone views also are fine. So if I click here, I don't really see that effect here, but I do want to also have that effect here, and that's not a hard thing to do. All we need to do is to go back to our index.js app, basically under app folder, the main index.js. Again, the transition is happening under this function here, and all I'm gonna do is to use desktop detection again here, and if my detection is not desktop, it's tablet or phone, I do want to bring that cursor back during the transition, and then I will add obviously this class to it, which is gonna show the animating thing, not just the circle. And once I'm done with the page transition, I will also get rid of the cursor back to opacity and a scale of 0. And that's what that's gonna do in my in my phone or tablet view. If I do this, I'm gonna see this guy here. Obviously, it's not gonna I don't have a mouse to follow or anything, so it's just gonna be up here. We can fix the position of that also. I normally just put it in the middle of the screen, and here when we create our cursor, if it's not a desktop, after we setting our cursor to 0 opacity and 0 scale, we can also put it in the middle of our screen. So right now if I do the transition, it's gonna happening in the middle. Same thing if I go to a tablet. If I go to my iPad Pro tablet, if I do the transition, that thing is gonna be there right in the middle, and once we're done, it's just gonna go away, as opposed to our desktop, where it will follow my mouse, and that's how we want it to be anyways. Alrighty, so I guess that covers everything. Now let me see. Yep, we covered different device types for this video player here, and also for our page transition. We took care of the cursor. the circle element while during transition, how we want it to look like. Again, you can go to that CSS loaders like template or like this website and grab anything that you want. I'm using what I used here. And yeah, that's it. I will post the finished code, the final code of this video also in the description of this video. If you found the video helpful, please make sure to like it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell and turn it on. Also, if you have any questions, please make sure to leave a comment in the comment box below. I'll make sure to get back to you as soon as possible. If you have any suggestions, also let me know. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you learned something new and enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you guys later.